Plastic waste. What does that phrase mean to you? What appears in your mind when you hear them words? Well, for some, the word plastic may mean the odd bottle that you leave laying around outside, or the wrong bottle in the wrong bin. But for some, it's more than that. This is what comes to mind when people hear plastic waste. This is what comes to my mind. Some of you may be confused right now and may not know the true meaning behind plastic waste. That's exactly why I've chosen to create and present you to this video today. You can see the reality of what we are doing to our planet. Let's start off with what's most important. What is plastic waste? To narrow it down, plastic waste is the accumulation of plastic particles and pieces of plastic objects in our environment. They can have heartbreaking and devastating effects on our beautiful planet Earth. Virtually everything is affected by this ongoing issue. Everything suffers. Our wildlife, our animals, our air, us, our world. We as humans are failing to take back control of plastics. Instead of reusing as much as we can, plastics that are not recycled end up in places like these, landfills. Even worse, gyres in our oceans. Gyres are giant whirlpools in our seas where loads of plastics gather together. They can be so big they are visible from space. Look at how big they have to be. There are 5 main gyres in our oceans, located in the North and South Pacific, the North and South Atlantic, and the Indian Ocean. Look at how devastating this is. All of our fish and marine life are being massively negatively affected by this issue. Our innocent creatures are mistaken as plastics for food, and then they eat them and eventually suffer the horrible consequences. Here are just a few images. It is said that every single day around 8 million pieces of plastic enter our oceans. 8 million! Put that image into your head. If you can imagine Wembley Stadium, for example, 90 to 100,000 seats. Multiply that by 10, that's only 1 million, and then multiply that by 8. All of this plastic every day. Within a few years, we're going to have more plastic in our seas than fish. How sad is that? These beautiful creatures are suffering, and it's all down to us. It's not just the marine animals that are suffering, our land animals and our birds too. By 2050, almost every seabird will be eating plastic. How worrying is that? Animals are getting caught in all kinds of materials that we throw away without decay. It's our duty to help our animals. You may be thinking, okay, yes, we know how much plastic waste affects the oceans, but what about us? What's the worst that can happen to us? Well, plastics are made out of harsh chemicals. Two of these are BPA and certain phthalates. BPA is a hormone disruptor being linked to breast cancer and infertility, and phthalates being linked to reproductive harm in baby boys, and these are sadly the chemicals that are sinking into our earth and our atmosphere. Can you guess how long the average bottle takes to biodegrade? They usually take around 450 years. Imagine how many plastic bottles will be sitting in our oceans and sinking into our earth in a few years' time. These toxins are entering our environments and atmosphere, which can have extremely damaging effects on us. This is a prime example of how plastic waste affects everything, another being global warming. Think of the beautiful polar bears in the Antarctic. Their homes are melting. Plastic contributes to global warming because almost all plastics are made out of chemicals from planet-warming fuels. Air, soil and waters are being poisoned. So what is being done about this global emergency so far, you may wonder? Well, in 2018, the Environment Agency said more than 400 beaches will be checked weekly in a bid to tackle the scourge of plastic. This is a good start. 73% of beach litter is plastic worldwide, which is very embarrassing. We've also started to fetch our plastic bags and reuse them in supermarkets. This is because a charge was introduced in 2011 in Wales. Since the 5p charge, 9 billion fewer bags in England has been used. This is an amazing first step. We've now also started to replace our plastic straws with paper ones. A lot of people complain about it, but we all know it's the best decision. It's great that we are heading in the right direction, however some people don't feel like that. I asked a few friends and close relatives whether they thought we was doing enough to help prevent plastic pollution. Most of what I was told was that they felt like we definitely don't do enough and that there's so much more we can do. They believe we've made the first step. There's a long way to go. I also asked my friends and relatives to collect just small plastic lids that they came across in just under 2 weeks, and this is the amount between them. That's just lids. I created a creature to demonstrate that this is what we are filling these animals with. If this is the amount of lids alone between a few households, imagine how many lids alone are being thrown away every day. I believe there are so many different things that could happen to help reduce our plastic pollution. For example, look at this. This is fruit in my house that has been placed in a plastic box, and I really don't see why. I think it's very unnecessary and lazy. What is stopping us cutting up our own fruit, and why do we need packaged everything? In fact, the largest amount of plastic is from packaging. The mass amounts of unneeded plastic being produced day by day is mind-blowing. So how can you help? Well, I've gathered the opinions of others, my own opinion, and facts to try and educate you on what you can do. Number 1, reuse plastic bottles or buy a sustainable one. Can you just imagine the amount of plastic waste that comes from these things? We use them for 2 minutes and then boom, they're no good. They're just chucked away. Most of the time, they do not get recycled. So as a way to help, you could buy yourself a more sustainable bottle that can be reused over and over again. Imagine the amount of plastic that you could save. It's also a lot cheaper for you. Number 2, start making sure you put plastics in the correct bins. Recycle bags are key, and even though a lot of things may not get recycled, it's important that you do your bit. And number 3, educate your friends and family on plastic waste. Show them this video and try to explain to them how important it is to look after our planet by reducing the amount of plastic you use, reusing what you have, and finally recycling. I hope I have demonstrated to you in this video the harsh reality of plastic and how it is killing our planet. We need to do something before this damage is irreversible. And reuse them in supermarkets.